Welcome to the Mind Body Podcast, your rebellious podcast about a strong body, calm mind, healing, and fully living. I'm your host, Maria Angelova, creator of the Angelova Method, an integrative approach to mind and body connection. The Angelova Method redefines your success equation to include a healthy body and a healthy mind, and was developed based on work with hundreds of clients, as well as my personal journey, creating the life I want, ditching stress and anxiety as a financial professional, and stepping into living a life of limitless possibilities. Hi, Rebels. Welcome to the Mind Body Podcast, your rebellious podcast with me, your host, Maria, where it is all about a strong body, calm mind, healing, and fully living. And today, our special guest is Dr. Karen Telstra, who is joining us from Florida. Dr. Karen is a creativity consultant, so this will definitely be a fun conversation. And I do have to say, one of the words I just told her that on her bio was a fun person. So how cool it is to have you here, Karen. Welcome.
Thank you. I love being here. And I like the name of your podcast too, Rebel. That's awesome. We need the rebels.
Yes. So Dr. Karen, let's dive right in. Let's hear about the fun person that Karen is. Give us 3 words and a little bit of a backstory behind it so that we can get to know the human Karen.
Okay. I think I'm a can-do person. I'm positive and flexible. And I try never to take myself too seriously because I find it's better that way. I grew up in California, up in the mountains, somewhere near Yosemite. Interesting facts, 3 sisters of 1 brother. My dad was a logger, and we had donkeys growing up. So I have a different opinion of donkeys than most people. Most people call them jackasses and think they're stupid, but I love donkeys.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I can tell you a story about donkey. It's actually, I think it's funny. I grew up in the city, so I didn't really grow up much around animals. And I was, I don't know, maybe 3, 4, 5, somewhere there. And one of my grandfathers lived a little bit more into the countryside. And I was with my cousin, and he had a sheep, and the sheep was running around. And I told my cousin, "Run, the donkey's coming."
Well, I guess you're a city person. Well, donkey, sheep, maybe they're similar.
Almost the same.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right. No, that's funny, actually. It just shows our perception, what we grow up with or around, that becomes our reality.
Yeah, that is. And if you're not around too many animals,
right, they're gonna all look the same. First, a donkey, a sheep, a zebra, a giraffe.
Okay, we can make that conversation about in a totally different direction, but let's talk about. Tell us, what is the creative part? What is the fun part in what you do? How is it different?
Well, I think that I was an educational psychologist before, and we worked with a lot of interventions and helping people get better, helping people learn better. But I just was so convicted that so many of the things we do are just so planned out, and we kind of extract all the spontaneity because we're trying to do things so well, so right, so perfect. And I just got to thinking it'd be so great just to study the field of creativity, because we're all creative with leadership potential. And what if I could learn more how to create scenarios or experiences that would draw people's natural innate creativity out, where they would become better at what they do, be happier, be better, be more just effective, and their natural leadership would emerge. Because what I've found is when people are being creative, they are becoming natural leaders, or they are natural leaders, and they might not think it. Anyway, I feel there's just not enough creativity that's celebrated in the world. We have algorithms and hierarchies and all kinds of processes and systems, which we need, but we also need creativity. So,
I literally came back from lunch, and I was having a conversation with my colleague, and what I told him is kind of very similar to what you just said. I said, we have so many rules of what you can say, what you cannot say, of how you have to say it. Like, you shouldn't talk about this. You should talk about this. That people were literally in a box trying to be
Right.
so hypersensitive about just a plain conversation.
Right.
And
yeah, it's
right. And we
yes.
lose that humans inner connection and just being who we are. And like one thing with the people I work, I don't care about your title. I don't care what you do. I want to know you. Like, who is the person, right?
That's
and
awesome. Yeah.
And I want to see your like silliness, and I want to laugh because you can't find a muscle or something. But it's a human interaction, and it's fun. It's a relationship, right?
Mhm.
It's a relationship driven model rather than I'm just going to stay there and tell you what to do. Like, it's a very different approach. And I think
I agree.
I think we're losing creativity, and I think we're losing innovation because I have a teenage daughter.
And you're not too young to have a teenage daughter.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Karen. And I'm like, do a creative project, do something fun, get off the phone. Like the little things we used to do, color, and we would stitch stuff and like learn creative things. And that's just not there yet as much as it is today.
Right. It's there. It's just sometimes hidden or pushed down because you give people any kind of opportunity and you set the stage right, creativity emerges. People are creative. You just see it everywhere. It's so easy to take ourselves too seriously in a world that's become so also polarized right now. We tend to be polarized in the United States. But if we could just stop taking ourselves too seriously and start to really get to know ourselves, what do we really like to do? What do we look back in our life at years back or when childhood? What is something that really excited us? And what did we do well? Or what is something that we knew we were in a creative zone when we were doing it? And I just wish we could all be more there. And we would see more happiness, and we'd see much more we'd see better work in so many ways. And it's fun, and people want to connect. Well, I should say most people want to connect. You just give them the opportunity and they do it.
I love to pump myself up. I put music and I love to sing. I have no singing talent and I love to dance around. That puts me in a good mood. And last week I was waiting for a client. One client left, the next one was coming. And I just put a song and I was like, oh, I love that song. So I was dancing around and singing. And then my client walks in and I was like, I love that song. And she goes, oh, I love it too. So here we are. She's like, like a serious musician, like close to her 60s. And here we are. And I'm like pretending I have a mic and she's across from me. And we are singing totally off note. Which is so much fun.
I love it. Yes. And look at all the energy that was evoked just there. Just like that.
Yeah, just from that silliness and embracing the moment and being in the moment and having fun. I mean,
also, I've developed this theory over the years that we have 3 myths in the Western world that we should all confront. And the 3 myths are that we have to know everything before we start. Myth number 1. Myth number 2 is nothing is connected. Myth number 3 is rational thinking is best. And when you think about it, like what you were doing, dancing around when your client came in, you don't have to know everything before you start. Everything is connected. Just when your energy, when you were dancing, connected to her and raised her energy. And we need rational thinking, but we also need creative thinking. We need a balance between creative and rational. And if we can keep that balance or strive for that balance, everything gets better. Everything gets better.
And tell us, when you say everything, well, I do have to pause and say, yes, I have to deal a lot with the mindset of common sense and rational thinking versus just dream. Just come up with, like, what can you come up, right? It becomes such a powerful place to create from rather than from the box. So I just have to throw that in. But tell us, from working with so many people and in so many different areas, what do you see, Karen, when you allow them to unleash their creativity? Like, what is the change that you see in them? What is the change that you see in the workplace, in the productivity of the workplace? What are the effects?
A perfect example is yesterday. We're working with a large group of 911 dispatchers. 911, it's, if you have a crisis or something, you call 911. And we were asked to help lead out they're trying to reimagine the 911 experience for the United States. and we were working with them. And we brought them in and we started, we invited them into a space of creative thinking, and we took them through several activities. And they were serious when they came in, and they were like, we don't know what's going on. We hope we're okay. And then at the end, we were with them for 3 hours. It was the beginning of a long project. They all said, even the big marshal, the big guy with all of his suit and all of his stars and everything he had on, his uniform, he said, when I came in, I thought this is going to be a big waste of time. My team isn't going to talk. We're just going to, he said, but wow,
we have to do it.
In 3 hours, we connected, we moved around the room, we threw around ideas. We even did some silly engagements. And he said, look what we got. We got 6 solid ideas that we can act on. And he said, I never would have thought that. And we had so much, that's just a perfect example. We gave people a challenge. We kind of loosened them up by creating some kind of spontaneous stories. And they shared hilarious experiences on 911 calls, some sad ones, but very, like one person called because he came away from Burger King and his hamburger was cold. So he called 911. And another person evidently was in the bathroom and ran out of toilet paper and called 911. I mean, I couldn't believe it. But anyway, we have found over and over and over, we've worked with thousands of people from high level Fortune 100 companies to small schools. And when you put people together and let them, give them the challenge to bring their best self forward, creative thoughts, ideas, doesn't matter what kind of ideas they are, people rise to that challenge because people are naturally creative. They just naturally are. And they want creativity. People don't want to be in a box. And I think sometimes what happens is people are so often in a box, they get comfortable. Like, what am I going to do when I get out of this box? But if you give them a pathway to travel, people rise to it. They get happy. They talk more. They laugh more. They are more forgiving. They are more open to risk. It's safe risk, but it's just so inspiring. And it's just there all the time, just latent. You have to ignite it.
Yes.
But one time we were talking.
I say that my goal is for every person who walks in here in the studio is that they live better than when they walked in, right?
Yeah. Oh, awesome.
Like after a long day, they're beaten from work, they're tired, they've had a stressful day, they've rushed from meeting to meeting. You can kind of feel it in their vibes, right? When you said in the beginning, energies, you can feel the energy.
Yeah.
And you throw a little bit of a jokes, you challenge them, like you said, with the movement, right? That looks so easy, but it is really not. They get to laugh a little bit. And there it is. It didn't take that long.
It doesn't. And we've really, my team and I, we've really honed, part of my team, there's an improv expert, Richard Paul. He's the master. And we do a lot of teaching, very rapid cycle improv. I don't want to say games, but more like interactions. And people rise to that, especially when you put them in a safe space. There's a safe space. We are, all your ideas are welcome. And when we tell them, we want to invite them into an engagement where they're going to do something, where they have to create something very rapidly. And the reason is because we want to activate a different part of their brain. And when people know why you're doing something, they are much more willing to jump in. And always, I always like them to have a challenge they're solving. Anytime we work with people, we have some kind of challenge, and people rise to it. And what we've heard some people say, but don't you get complaining when you give people a challenge to improve something at work? Don't you get people complaining and complaining? I said, actually, no, it's quite the opposite. When people are given an opportunity to speak, to come up with ideas, complaining kind of goes out the window. People complain because they feel they have no other option, but we try to give them other options so they can.
People complain because they're given the choice in a lot of cases to make a suggestion that's inside the box.
Right.
Sometimes the way we think is outside the box. So now it will be inappropriate. Now it may be judged. What is she thinking? What is he thinking? It's not safe to be ourselves and to share what's, authentically. Right. So I think that the great point that you made is the safety of the perceived safety of the comfort.
Right. And we always try to get that. When I first started working in the innovation and creative process, we were working with large organizations, and we worked a lot with frontline staff. And we would, there were just a lot of different things we were doing, but one in particular was we would go through some processes and then say, you registered a challenge. We want to try to see if we can help you solve it, or you solve it. We'll give you the processes to solve it. And so many times at first, this is exactly how it would be. They'd raise their hand and kind of shake it like, can I say something? Will I get fired if I say something? Then I had a shaky voice and everything. And we had to actually build some bridges through some improv engagements to get people to realize it was okay and it was safe. Because so many people live their lives never really feeling like their ideas were heard, their voices were heard, that they made a difference. And that breaks my heart, actually. That's what really drove me into the field, to create ways, scenarios, experiences, keynotes, workshops, whatever we're doing, to give people a way to think differently, to embrace their innate creativity. As we say, they're innate because everyone's creative. I just have to keep.
And I think that goes to being yourself, being your unique self, your authentic self, and share your wealth, whatever that is, with the world versus, can I say this? Like you said.
No, I know, because it's also, I love that you said that you just were dancing and singing, even though you don't perceive yourself as a singer, because here's what we hear people say all the time. Oh, I'm not creative. Not me. You better ask Joe over there. He's got better ideas than I do. And we hear that all the time. And it makes me sad because somehow, I mean, we were all creative as children, and somehow it doesn't get chased outside of us. It gets pushed down inside of us because it's still there.
I will tell you from personal experience, even if you cannot sing and hit a tune or a key, you can have a blast and make it contagious through the room, because you can be so off key, but if you embrace it and own it, I'm telling you, speaking from experience, people will embrace it too. And if you encourage people, like, I love to dance, and I'm like, just shake your butt, shake your hips.
Yeah, it's fun.
People getting into that, right?
We just had that experience. My mom just turned 93 last Saturday, and my dad, who passed away 2 years ago, they loved country western music. So my sister found their favorite country western guy, Craig Murphy, and we hired him to come and he was so inexpensive too. Hired him to come give a 1-hour concert to my mom in her rest home. So we rolled her down to the cafeteria, and oh my gosh, people started pouring in, the other residents. They were singing and just moving around as best they could. It was such a wonderful, glowing moment. Creativity was just abounding. And my mom had not looked so alive in a long time. It was so amazing what he was able to do. But it was all cool.
Yeah. Do you know that there is actually an app, and they use it for Alzheimer's patients? And basically what they do is they select the year when they were born, and the app plays music from that year so that it takes them back to those years.
Oh, that's incredible.
I cannot remember the name of the app, but I mean, that goes back to, putting you in the mood, taking you back 2 years, that right? Bringing up memories, firing up the brain, different parts of the brain, so that you can reconnect to yourself, which, with Alzheimer's gets lost.
And so those residents did. It was in Texas. My mom's in Texas right now. And all those Texans, they knew all those country western songs. It was wonderful.
You created an experience for all of them. So Karen, you had something exciting happen lately. You had a book published, The One-on-One Activities to Ignite Collaboration, Boost Creativity, and Fuel Innovation. So tell us a little bit about this book.
This book here it is right here. It's here. I love this book. I wrote another book that's more about theory, but this book I love. I love this book. It comes from, and I'm going to show you a picture, for 10 years, we were creating innovation labs, design thinking, human-centered innovation labs for healthcare, pro sports, for other organizations. And this team right here, these people, these awesome people, we worked together. We got them from all different places, and through the years, we worked together for quite a few years. We're all in different places now, but our goal was, we believed, I believed that if we could give people experiences, quick, short, easy things to do that would ignite them, it would ignite collaboration, boost creativity, and fuel innovation. If they had ways that they could do this, they would be more creative, collaborative, and innovative. And so over the years, it took about 10 years. This is from about 10 years of research I did. And with this team, we tried things out. We created things. We took from permission other people. We tweaked things. The improv section is from Richard. But it's awesome. And we've had so much feedback on this book that it's been very helpful for classroom teachers, university teachers, people in healthcare that were leading teams and needed things to do. Because there's all kinds of ways to enact, engage, and ignite a team. And what I found and why I was really compelled to write this book is people wanted to do those things. They wanted to collaborate, be creative, and be innovative, but they just didn't know some of the ways to do it. So this book gives you 101 ideas. We could put a supplement to this. We've created some more since then. But what I feel so passionate about providing opportunities, tools, skills, teaching mindsets to people and for people to how they can just bring out their natural creative capacity, because everybody gets better when that happens. So it's a fun book. Yeah, it has lots of little graphics in it, created by Patrick O'Connor, a good friend, and he worked with me for a lot of years, and he did all the graphics in here. Every activity has a graphic with it. So Patrick, yeah, and we've had a lot of really good feedback that is simple to follow, that people have used it for large groups, small groups. They've used it to get people talking, to get people reflecting, to get people moving, to get people ideating. So, yeah.
Variety of settings, variety of industry, variety of ages, ideas for everybody. Okay.
Right. And we also say use them, tweak them. If they come up with, say they try one of the ideas and they said, well, we like it, but it would be better for us this way, just tweak it, change it. Yeah.
You have the power to do it.
Yeah.
What works for you. All right. So Karen, from all of your work, all of your books, what is the one piece of advice you give maybe to a leader?
Well, I would say, as I said before, it's kind of repeating, stop taking yourself so seriously. Set the vision, cast the vision, and then make room for your people who you've hired to be successful and thrive. So when we don't take ourselves so seriously, we stop micromanaging, we stop being so focused on what has to happen instead of like what let emerge what needs to happen. And when we stop taking ourselves so seriously, we create safe space for people. Yeah. And and I see leaders who want to be good leaders, and they're just so oftentimes just freaked out, high stress. So I'm not doing a good job. They come so hard down on their people. So I just say, let's all stop taking ourselves so seriously, and let's really connect. And if someone makes a mistake, we can learn from it. I mean, it's not the end of the world. We can iterate our way forward.
Yeah, no mistake. It's just a lesson.
Yeah, but it's so easy to forget that when you're in hierarchy. When companies are in hierarchy, they have high pressure. They've got to meet goals. Everything just seems so seriously. So I say take the work seriously, but not yourself. Right. And some people might say, well, that sounds like a big immature way to be, but I don't think so. I think it's what I mean by not taking yourself too seriously is saying, I don't have to be the big cheese. I am here to cast the vision, and how can I help my team be successful? What can I do? Where can I let them shine? And let's have fun and humor along the way, because heaven knows we can use more of that in corporate America.
Yes. And outside of corporate America as well, out that. All right.
Yes. Yes.
Let me ask you, what is your definition of rebellious?
Oh, I love rebellious. Rebellious is a relative term. It's what's rebellious to one is not rebellious to another.
Right? That's what I'm asking. What is your definition?
Well, I think rebellious is seeing things differently than the current process or current methods we're doing things. So rebellious is, I think, being willing to see differently and do differently, and not really caring if you get in trouble. But it,
Yeah, I'm up for that.
yeah, and rebellious is I mean, what's rebellious from yesterday is common today. So it's no, we need more rebellious people. And we always think rebellious is bad, like they're cantankerous and hard to manage because they're rebellious. But oftentimes rebellious people just see differently and they see a better way. And they're just hitting against the establishment. It's like they can't do that. That's not right. They got to cooperate. But thank goodness for rebellious people.
I am laughing because when I was in my corporate life, I actually did a lot around process improvement.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
yes. And it was interesting me trying to fit in because the ideas and how about trying this and how about trying that. And, when I got into that world, I was in my 20s. So I had a lot of energy and a lot of passion, and people were like, woo, that's a lot, right? So there was a lot of, attempt to tame me down and be like, okay, you can't be that excited. You have to be quiet, exactly what we're talking about. So I firsthand have experienced that those demands from the corporate world to change and subdue who you are, even though I was excited about my work as a 20-year.
You can't be too excited. We've got to put you back in your cage there. You can, it's just, somehow we think that's better.
Yeah.
And sometimes we do need to have processes and follow rules. But if we want to create something new, you have to think outside the box. You have to do things differently, and it will ruffle feathers.
Yeah. That's just part of life. That's just part of growth. That's just part of change, right?
Right.
Right. Well, Karen, where can people follow you, find you, reach out to you? Website, social media links?
Yeah, well, on Amazon, the books, Karen Telstra, just look up Karen Telstra, and both the books are there. This is a fun one. My other book, The Death Line, is about what happens when fear. So I define a death line as being a line we draw and vow never to cross, because we think something terrible is going to happen, but we don't know if it's going to happen or not. We just think it is. So there's a lot of things we let die on that line. Yep. That's another book. But on Amazon, Karen Telstra, or you can creativityeffect.com. We have a website. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. Just Karen Telstra. So it seems easy. Yeah.
Yes, Karen Telstra. Connect with Karen, ask questions, reach out to her if your organization can benefit from her services. Karen, I thank you for being here and for the fun and rebellious conversation. Rebels, I do hope you enjoyed that conversation. Make sure to like, share, spread the word. Let us know if there are any questions. And as always, do not forget to stay rebellious. We'll see you next time.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. I love that. Yeah, don't forget to stay rebellious. Woohoo!